Chapter 9. The sun is setting, and the children are in the front yard playing soccer as I walk to the steps and see Sasha drinking a bottle of beer. 2 empty bottles are sitting upright on her left side. Before I can say anything to Sasha about drinking in front of the kids, I notice a Ziploc sandwich bag filled with pills near one of the bushes in front of my home. I pick up the bag filled with pills and ask Sasha, "Are these yours too?" "I don't do no drugs, Tiffany. You know that. I don't know where they came from." Sasha answers, putting a cigarette in her mouth and lighting it. I throw the bag of pills in the street and then walk back to the house as I hear a male's voice yell at me. "Put them back!" The voice yells repeatedly. I turn around and notice the voice came from Milk, one of my neighborhood's exclusive drug dealers. "Get out of here, Milk. The kids are playing. Nobody has time for your nonsense tonight," Sasha yells before inhaling her cigarette. "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to her. Pick them up and put them back where I had them," Milk demands. "Excuse you?" I answer. "This is my house. You don't pay the bills here. Take your pills and all that somewhere else." "Them pills are my money. Pick up my money and put them back where I had them. Unless you want me to body them dirty-ass kids of yours," Milk demands. "Who do you think you're talking to?" I say, walking towards Milk as a tall, brown-skinned, muscular man walks behind Milk and places a hand on his shoulder. The man has a close haircut with deep waves and is wearing black military-style pants, black boots, with a black shirt under a black bulletproof vest. "Chill, Milk," the man says. I notice a police badge hanging from one of the chains around his neck, along with another chain with dog tags. "I'm sorry about his behavior, Miss Gibbons. My name is Sergeant Marshall Bell. Is it okay if we talk inside? I would love to talk to you in private. I come in peace." Bell has a smile on his face and speaks in a soothing tone. He appears harmless and intimidating at the same time. I notice the handgun, the mace, the taser, and the handcuffs on his belt. Sasha frowns in disapproval as I walk towards the door and open it, inviting him inside. Belle and I walk to the kitchen area and sit down. I think to myself, what would my grandmother think, knowing I have a drug dealer threatening to keep drugs in her front yard and this police officer sitting at her table? "I apologize about Milk's behavior," Belle begins, sitting back in the chair. He looks over at the pictures on the refrigerator, then back at me. A smile never leaves this young man's face. He is very attractive and toned. Could this be the same Belle that Gina talked about? "Are you going to lock him up? He admitted to having drugs that he's trying to stash in my yard," I say as Belle laughs. "You want me to file a report on that? Make yourself a target. These people burn down homes while families sleep. These are the same people that kill people who show up to court. Milk is a prominent member of the gang called the Alphas, and as hard as it is to admit, nowhere in this state is safe from that gang. They are in your kid's school, at your job. They are in your neighborhood. What do you want me to do? File a report? Okay, they'll send a message. You won't like the message." I realize this is the Belle that Gina is talking about. He is very confident and very relaxed. He has a lightheartedness to him that is intriguing. "Why are you here? To threaten me?" "No," Belle answers. "Your aunt had a lot to say about me on the broadcast. People have a right to their opinions. I'm fine with that. My mother raised me and my autistic brother by herself, basically. She was a school teacher until she had to resign because of a disability. My father was murdered. Now my mother, who has pancreatic cancer, needs me to help her and my special needs brother. I looked into cancer centers. A lot of the affordable ones with my salary and her income are horrible. So I looked into different ways to provide for my mother. There's a medical center in Virginia that provides a treatment to increase the chances of her living longer. I'm doing this long enough to pay for her treatment there. Are you about to kill me? I ask. I don't want to beg for my life, but I have my kids outside, and I really don't want them to come into the kitchen and see my dead body. My heart is beating faster. Bell's level of calmness, his hands resting on the table, and the smile on his face make me wonder when he will shoot me. Bell chuckles. He has very nice dimples and gorgeous teeth. He has a strong jawline. He shakes his head no in response to my question and rests his hands into each other, locking his fingers in a very relaxed position. Bell glances around the kitchen, then back to me, making very good eye contact, still with a charming smile on his face. I have no intention of harming you, Miss Gibson. My goal is to bring balance to Ridgely Square, something your grandmother tried to do, something Pastor Avery tried to do. I'm trying to do the same thing. Companies like Titan Industries only want to move our people out of the community and make it a place you or I could never afford. What if we controlled the power that this community possesses? Your grandmother left you this house. Why give it up? You go to work and go to school. Why stop? People in this community sell and buy drugs. Why can't all parties coexist? If we control the chaos, we reduce the chances of good people like you getting hurt, and we corral the chaos in the right direction. What are you talking about? I fearfully ask as he continues to lean back in his chair, with a smile still on his face. Such a perfect freaking smile. People like Milk will always exist. The alphas, the cabal, this gang, that gang. There will always be a gang. The murders will always happen in the city. The politicians will always use the murder rate, education rate, and employment rate as a method to get votes. But it won't get better. Your grandmother died, and vacant buildings from 10 years ago are still vacant. The homeless people that lived up the street still live there. Why not control the narrative? Create a place where the drug dealers and drug addicts can interact, and the innocent people are safe. Your kids, you, Sasha, whoever. The people who deserve to get killed die, and the innocent people go home and go to sleep. I manage the game to make sure nobody gets out of line. Then why do people like Milk want to stash his drugs in my yard? Every police officer doesn't buy into my ideology. You still have your beat cops and patrol officers that see someone like Milk and think, I have to get this guy off the street. They don't realize another Milk will have his spot before this Milk is placed in a holding cell. Why waste your tax dollars on locking up people that will be in and out of prison for selling the same drugs before they die from an overdose or are killed by the next drug dealer? Is that what you think? I ask, leaning forward as Belle's eyes light up with excitement. That's what I know. We have over 300 murders a year, and they're typically carried out by the same group of people year in and year out. I provide a suggestion. Let the kids eat cake until their teeth rot out. We control them and we tax them. Las Vegas realized if you tax prostitutes, everybody would be happy. I realized if I tax the drug dealers, good people go to sleep at night. Why are you telling me all this? I ask. Because I want you to realize your aunt is attacking me for doing the right thing. We can lock up all the drug dealers and killers, and someone will always take their place. I can tax the drug dealers and tell them where to sell. Nobody outside of the drug game gets hurt. On top of that, I can get my mother to the right kind of help with the money. If you let Milk and other dealers stash in your yard, other cops with different ideologies will get off their backs, and we can all live happily together. Find another yard. By your own logic, if I let them stash in my yard, I become a part of the drug game. I would like to respectfully decline. I counter with fear in my heart. Belle is still relaxed and smiling. I can smell the fragrance of his cologne. It smells great. I can protect your children, Tiffany. Why couldn't you protect my daughter or her father or Tyrone Clinton or Kennard Lyles Bay? I ask as Belle stands up, then places the chair under the table. Belle then walks around the kitchen, taking a closer look at the pictures on the refrigerator, and he glances at the dish rack. Why didn't I put the dishes in the cabinet? There aren't enough hours in the day for all I have to do. I would love to give you the answer you want to hear, especially for your daughter, but I am an honest man. Some things are out of my control. For years, people have played by the game of right and wrong, and people like Tyrone Clinton and Kennard Lyles Bay were murdered. I prefer to offer something more balanced, and all I ask is for your support. Have a great night, Ms. Gibbons. No harm will come to you or your family tonight. You have my word. Do not worry about Milk trying to stash his drugs in your yard anymore. Your kids deserve somewhere safe to play. But it will come at a price, Miss Gibbons. You will pay me $500 a week to ensure your children's safety from the alphas. Belle's face takes on a stern look, then a bright smile before walking out of the kitchen area and to the front door. Chapter 10. It's a gray morning in Baltimore. An overcast fills the sky, and the streets are eerily empty today. I find myself at the Community Resource Center with Hakeem and Jamar, sitting inside of the boardroom at a grand wooden table. There is already strong tension between Jamar and Hakeem. I really wish they could bury the hatchet that separates them. We all have the same goal, but for some reason, Hakeem and Jamar have different views on how to achieve it. Yesterday I was approached by Milk from the Alphas. He was attempting to hide pills in my yard in broad daylight. My kids were in the yard playing, I say, annoyed with the thought of such an arrogant move. They have tried this before, Jamar chimes in. His face has a scowl, and he looks vexed. They killed a friend of mine, Reuben. Reuben used to drive the bus, and he had twin daughters. He asked Milk and the Alphas to stop hiding drugs in his yard. Milk first threatened him, shot a hole in his car door, broke a window in his home, then placed bags of pills in visible areas where Reuben could find them, and Milk watched his reaction. One day, Milk fired a gun at Reuben's feet, missing him by inches, and told him to stop acting soft. Reuben called the police, and they locked up Milk. Reuben was murdered 2 days before the court date at his home by one of the Alphas. As a result, Milk's charges were dropped. Jesus, when did this happen? Hakeem asks with concern. Last year. The murder and court case kind of got lost in the news due to the death of Tyrone Clinton. Jamar responds, looking down. Bell came to my house as well. He gave me a proposition to hide the drugs in my yard for the Alphas. I said no. Then he started talking about his mother and told me no harm would come to me if I paid him $500 a week. I tell Jamar and Hakeem. Why did he tell you about his mother? Hakeem asks. I notice the anger in his voice. She has pancreatic cancer, and he's trying to get her into some medical center in Virginia. I answer as Hakeem and Jamar look at each other. This is the first glance I have seen the two of them share without anger or animosity. This is why I keep saying we need our own police force. We can reduce the chances of this happening in our community if we control the police force. Jamar interjects with anger. You do know Bell is black, right? Hakeem questions. He is, but if we had our own medical centers, our own police, and owned all the homes in Ridgely Square, we would reduce the number of drug dealers, murderers, and people like Bell who would exploit our challenges. Jamar rebuts. I disagree. This would have happened regardless. The man's mother is dying and he's trying to save her. I don't agree with his method, but I completely understand. If he didn't have the job he has now, she might have already died. But if he were rich, she would have already been to Virginia and gotten the medical treatment. I state as Jamar and Hakeem look at me with confusion. What are you saying? Hakeem asks. My grandmother died last year from Alzheimer's disease. She did more for me than my own parents. If I had the money to extend her life, I would have. My kids and I live in the house she left for me now. I would trade this house in a heartbeat to have her alive right now. Same with my daughter, Kenya. If I could get the money to keep her alive from selling or hiding Milk's drugs, you think I wouldn't? Let's be realistic while we try to plan for a better world. We all have a line we would cross if we could create a better world for our families. It doesn't make it right, but I totally understand. Then we need to learn how to control the line, Jamar quips. We need to purchase every vacant lot and home in Ridgely Square. If we own the homes and the stores, we have the power. We control the tax dollars, and the city will have to answer to us. We can have our own police force that we dictate what we need to be enforced. What about the alphas and the drugs? How do we control that? Do you plan on locking them up? Do they go through the regular court systems? What about people like Milk, who have no problem with murder? What will your police force do to them? Hakeem asks. We educate and we rehabilitate. People like Milk are a product of the broken system. We are trying to create a better system. We can create that system and Milk can be fixed. Jamar answers. Hakeem rolls his eyes. The animosity between the two of them begins to rise again. Even the temperature of the room begins to rise as the two counter each other. He killed your friend. Didn't you just say that? Hakeem asks. You are so quick to forgive and think your system will fix him after he caused your friend to be murdered for speaking out against his behavior. You want to fix the behavior of a person who is willing to kill to continue his behavior. That is your call to action? Isn't that what your whole religion is based on? Jamar questions. Didn't Jesus preach about forgiveness, casting the first stone? Jonah, Moses, Simon, Father, forgive them. Your whole religion is about forgiveness and second chances. Yet with your own people, you don't know how to forgive and provide a second chance. Is something going on between you two? I ask as Jamar walks out of the room and slams the door. You don't want to know, Hakeem answers, looking at his phone to avoid eye contact. I need to know, I say as he looks at me, then back at his cell phone. Jamar and I grew up together. Our parents raised us the best they could, but we still fell victim to the streets. We were a part of the Ridgely home gangs, the gang people call the Alphas now. We tried to hide our dirt from the streets and from our parents. My father, being a big pastor in the city, didn't need to hear about his two boys gangbanging and selling drugs. One day we spent up the money we were supposed to give to Dom. He was one of the heads of the Ridgely home gang. We got into a shootout with one of Dom's people that was coming at us for being short on the money. Police caught Jamar hiding with a gun and a few grams of crack cocaine. Figured he had something to do with the shootout. I went to college and did something productive with my life. Jamar found Islam in prison and served his time. You serve your God just like Jamar serves his. Why does it sound like you are minimizing his beliefs? I asked as Hakeem shrugs his shoulders. We were raised as Christians. It's hard to explain. Hakeem answers. You ever think Jamar sees the community and people like Milk getting the second chance you got? When he did the prison time, you could have both been sentenced. You clearly got a second chance at life, going to college and being a community leader. Your brother has a felony record that will follow him for the rest of his life. No, this community doesn't need to be segregated. That is hate speech that his head was filled with in the prison. Hakeem abruptly stops talking and walks out the door. Chapter 11. A few hours after a very unproductive meeting with Hakeem and Jamar, I find myself walking into the soundstage area with Gina, who is accompanied by Leela. Leela, still wearing the same outfit from when we first met, looks completely uncomfortable as Anna Cartwright and her assistant approach us with microphones to place on our clothes. Anna's assistant encourages Leela to speak normally. The microphone will pick up everything. I notice Leela and Gina talking among themselves as Anna gazes at my hand tapping my left leg, unbeknownst to me. "Are you okay?" she asks, and I stop the tapping. "I'm okay. I just have a lot on my mind," I answer. There are too many worlds colliding between this documentary that I somehow got sucked into, my children, Belle, Milk, and Hakeem. Way too much drama. The assistant points at Anna, and she begins the intro to the documentary and introduces Leela. A million thoughts flood my mind, including the fact that I barely know Leela. "Leela, tell us a little about yourself," Anna asks. Leela leans to her side, then repostures herself. "My name is Leela Wall. I'm 20 years old. About 6 years ago, I was kidnapped at gunpoint from my parents in Seattle, Washington," Leela says with a stern look and postures towards Anna. "The gang called the Alphas took me in, moved me from city to city, state to state, and prostituted me. They drugged me and some other girls and kept us at hotels. We would stay near airports, truck stops, casinos, and near state capitals for a couple of weeks before changing locations." "Oh my God, that's horrible," Gina whispers to herself as the rest of us sit in silence. "I don't remember or know how I got to Baltimore. I remember being in Texas, New Mexico, Las Vegas, and a few other states. They drugged us so much to the point we wanted to be high. They made us feel dependent on them, and we agreed to do what they wanted." "Can you tell us who the we and they are?" Anna asks. I apologize. The we are the girls that they keep in the hotels. They pack us in the rooms, 5 or 6 in a room. The they are the alphas. They keep guards to watch the rooms and around the hotels. The senior girls have roles. They are supposed to groom and provide treats. That's what they call drugs for the girls that perform well. The senior girls are also supposed to punish, dress, and feed the new girls. The senior girls place the new girls on eating schedules. They get one decent meal every 3 days. Every other meal the new girls have to earn. Everything is earned. "Why haven't you gone to the police?" Anna asks as Leela looks on with confusion. "Dom, the man that was in charge of us and moved us around, was killed by a guy named Milk. Milk is protected by the other alphas and a group of police that wears all black military-style clothes. They drive unmarked cars and are everywhere. So to answer your question, we can't trust the police. That's why. We also don't have the means to communicate. If we did, I would have gone back home. I haven't seen or heard from my family in years. They probably think I am dead. I had 2 children. The oldest was killed by Dom to punish me for being pregnant while working. The other was taken. I don't know if she's alive or dead." "What was her name?" Anna prompts. "I never named the first child. I was not allowed to have an emotional attachment to the second, so I never named her," Leela says, looking away for a moment, breaking her stare with Anna. The air in the building feels light, like there is a feeling of unease and tension coming from everyone the more Leela speaks. I have concerns and fear at this moment. We already poked the hornet's nest and are targeted by the alphas. Now we are discussing them being in a sex trafficking ring. They know where I live. They know where my children go to school. I do not have the stomach for this. Is this worth it? I have already lost 1 child. Is it worth putting the other 4 in danger? Am I a coward? What would my grandmother do? She would fight. How did you find Gina and Tiffany? Anna asks. They moved us to an abandoned building in the old marketplace district because there was a tip about a sex ring bust at the surrounding area hotels. I snuck out one night, stayed with a guy in an old milk factory for a few days, saw this documentary he was watching, and happened to bump into them when I went to a counseling support group. Leela answers. Was this guy that you stayed with a person you knew? Gina asks. No, I met him one day trying to figure out how I was going to get home. He was nice. I mean, I earned my place to stay there for the last few nights. I'm just trying to figure out how I can get home. What do you mean by earned your place to stay there for the last few nights? Anna asks. I had sex with him? Leela answers. Sex for shelter, Gina interjects. Exactly, Leela confirms. Can you tell me more about sex for shelter? Anna asks. When I was a sex worker and homeless, it was something I did. Sometimes you don't have the money for a place to stay, but there are other means to securing housing. It might provide you a night to stay somewhere, sometimes longer. Gina answers. Yeah, I'm trying my best not to do any more sex work, and I'm scared of going to the hotels here in Baltimore at this point. Leela states as Gina's eyes light up. Is it because of Hollywood? Gina asks. Yes, you know him? Leela asks with a shocked look. When I was doing sex work, Hollywood was one of the lieutenants of the Alphas. He watched the girls that stayed at the hotels. They said he was part of NAFA as well, like he was undercover. Can't confirm or deny it. Gina answers as Anna looks at me with an astonished look. Let's take a break and talk for a little bit, Anna says as Claire walks close to the soundstage. Chapter 12. Anna, Gina, and I are meeting with Claire inside her large office. The office is decorated with awards, framed records, pictures of celebrities, and degrees on the wall. Separating Claire from Anna, Gina, and me is a massive mahogany-stained wood desk with 2 Emmy Awards sitting on opposite sides of the desk. On the window ledge near several colorful plants is a picture of Claire hugging a man, but his face is covered with a sad face sticker. Behind Gina, Anna, and I is a glass wall where we can see directly into an office where Leela is sitting, reading a magazine. Anna, Gina, I'm loving what you all are doing with this documentary. The views are up, and you have created a lot of traffic for the app. The problem is, the direction you are headed in now, with what Leela just said, you won't be able to go back, Claire states, looking only at Anna. What do you mean? Anna asks with her hand on Gina's knee as a gesture of comfort. Gina appears very nervous. Rightfully so. This is the same office her friend, Silk Diamond, sat in the day she was fired. Silk was a radio personality for one of Claire's radio stations and was one of the first transgender radio personalities in Baltimore. She was suspected of being fired for sleeping with Claire's husband. I think we can guess the man covered with the sad face sticker is Claire's ex-husband. Case solved. When you started the documentary, you discussed Gina's life with her struggles with addiction and being a prostitute. Claire begins when my aunt interjects, sex worker. Sex worker, my apologies, Claire says, looking at Gina before redirecting her gaze at Anna. Claire is stoic, all business, and very confident. Even her apologies make it feel like she is right. Since talking about Gina's history as a sex worker, an addict, a mother, and a wife, we have discussed gangs, crooked police officers, and now sex trafficking. At this point, we will need more documented proof to avoid lawsuits, and some protection if what Gina and Leela have said is true. Furthermore, when this episode airs, expect an investigation and charges to be made. Claire, you know I was a district attorney. I understand how the law works.